It's that moment in the night when you look high on the hill and several crones are laughing and cackling around a foaming cauldron. They express a wealth of horrible, horrible ingredients, and they stir the vile brew. They chant a final vociferous blast of evil, and a cloud of smog and doom ushers forth. And then, in a crackle of fury and thunder, they're gone. But what if you could bottle that stuff before it all went poof? I think it would look something like this. This is the Wytch Bottle Project, and it will get you a delightfully beautiful looking bottle which changes colors and has a wonderful look of twisted wood and tortured, well, whatever the hell you decide to make it look like. I think it's gorgeous. And it's incredibly simple and easy to do. This takes, honestly, less time than a papier-mâché pumpkin. And, well, just to let you know how simple, I'll let you in on the ingredient list. I had to break deep into a set of vaults, guarded by a poobajoo, but suffice to say I have retrieved the ancient scrolls upon which the ingredients were writ. You're gonna need a clear bottle. Some sort of LED light source, some cardboard, a hot glue gun, some cotton, be it in cotton balls or cotton coil, some mache paste, which I have showed people how to make in my paper mache pumpkin video series, ideally some wood stain, some scissors, some Q-tips, some sort of scrubby sponge, a pool noodle, not a big one, just a cheap one, something to cut the pool noodle. If you want to waterproof it, you might want some urethane, and your bottle ideally should have a cork or some sort of sealer with it. So those are the ingredients. If you feel like it, some sort of sculpting tool, an X-Acto knife, or a cheap set of sculpting tools just to knock things into place. You don't necessarily have to have that. It occasionally makes the job easier. If you don't have it, don't feel like you have to go out and get it, because you're going to see this all happen anyway. But let's get started on making a witch bottle. Alright, time to start the Wytch Bottle Project. Step one is to take this thing and soak it in the sink for 4 hours. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have time for that. I don't even want to do a time lapse of this soaking in the sink for 4 hours. That would be awful. Now, if you own a hairdryer or a heat gun, you can remove the labels from these things infinitely faster. I don't own a hairdryer because my hair is perfect. No, I'm kidding on that one too. I just like to barbecue my hair. But if you heat up the label, slowly, evenly, and carefully, you will heat up the glue that is behind it and make it easy to peel off. You might leave some stickum, but I got a solution for that too. I don't recommend using the heat gun on high for this. Once the bottle is at least tolerably warm, you don't want it so hot that it'll burn you. You can usually peel up these edges and they'll start coming up without too much trouble, leaving minimal residue behind. Of course, if you do want to soak your bottles, that method is absolutely 100% fine. With the stickum nice and gooey, that should peel right off. I have a little bit of stickum left over on this bottle, which could be quite annoying for the project. Fortunately, there's a good solution for that. A little bit of our good old buddy WD-40. I like to just spritz a little bit on a Scott towel. Make a small mess in the process because that's part of crafting. Start wiping the stickum off. And I find that in a very, very, very short time, it's set. Well, one stickum-free bottle. The only reason it does have some crud on it is I was crafting near this thing and splashed a little bit of mache paste on it earlier. Once that's set, though, I'm just going to give the outside a quick rinse with soap and water, and we're set. And that takes 10 minutes tops. Well, not even 10. It takes 5 minutes instead of 4 hours. I'm going to do a fun little cut to black and give this a wash in the sink. We'll pick it up on the other side. Alright, bottle's nice and clean. Next step, we got to prepare a lighting chamber for the bottom so we can have some brilliant, beautiful light coming up there with a good hidden battery container. Best way that I do this is just with some regular plain old cardboard. I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel here. The problem though is with sizing your compartment. So for me, I use these nifty little puck lights, which no doubt I have talked about or will be talking about depending on the order that I film this thing and edit it together. But these guys fit beautifully under most standard size wine bottles and indeed in most projects. To get my size of my compartment right, I like to take two of them, stack them up, put the wine bottle on top, and then take a look at the piece of cardboard that I want to use for base and see if it comes up far enough for me to have a good overlap. This one's going to come up a little bit too high onto the wine bottle. I simply don't need that much space for the hot glue to grip it. So I'm going to cut this down by about a ½ inch. And I'm going to be sure that for this particular box, I have a very straight edge along this side. This edge here is one that I cut. I'm going to cut the cut edge and make sure that I keep the one that is factory flattened so that when this thing rests on a table, this flat side is the flattest part I can possibly get. And I'm going to keep the piece that I cut off in order to reinforce the entire box. So let's take this thing down by a ½ inch or so. And if you're really savvy, as I am only sometimes, I shall actually endeavor to measure about how much I need to take off. You only need maybe about an inch up the bottle to grip it with your hot glue. If you have 3/4 inch overlap from the bottom of your bottle to the top, then you should be a-okay to grab that. Let's hope the lighting caught that well enough. You'll see it very well in just a moment though. I am just going to use this sculpting tool as a spacer. So this cut is relatively even. Any normal human being can use a ruler or a measuring tape. I'll use whatever the hell is sitting next to me. Oh, incidentally for this video, sorry for any furball interruptions. They're roaming through the kitchen and meowing from time to time. I can't help it. I'm a cat owner. Here's my supporting strip. Doing another quick size check. I like how it is, no problem. Then all I need to do to get it firmly set is I'm going to take the bottle, take my piece of cardboard. I'm going to wrap the piece of cardboard tightly around the bottle. When I get to the spot where they're about to cross over again, I'm going to put a dollop of hot glue on here and then mush it down firmly and wrap it tight. Or I'm going to drop it, one of the other two. And here we go. I'm just going to give that enough time to cool off and set. Alright. Once this is set in here, I'm just going to continue this. I'm going to take the hot glue gun and continue around and just keep mushing this until it's flat and locked in place. And when you do this, make sure that you don't keep pushing the glue and hitting your hand so it burns that bit of glue that comes out that stupid edge right there. Don't do it. Classic hot glue trap. And do make sure that your bottom edge stays lined up. Sometimes these boxes love to push out, so they go a little bit too far down or up. Make sure that stays aligned. And then give it a moment to cool. In a perfect world, your battery container and light container should fit right underneath whatever bottle you've got. It'll slide right under there and cover any light source that you choose to have. Now I have this strip of cardboard left. What I choose to do is cut this up into strips and use it to reinforce the outer section of my holder. So I'm just going to take a look at about how tall they need to be. Give a quick mark. They need to be about that size on mine. I'm going to start cutting them to that length. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just take them and hot glue them around this circle all the way around, relatively even space, just to add a little bit more reinforcement to this cardboard. I'm going to get to that right now. Okay, so here is the container that is going to be the base and the form around the bottle. It's got reinforcements all the way around it. The next thing to do is to secure it to the right elevation for whatever light source you choose to use. For me, again, it's these hockey puck lights. So I'm just going to stack them one on top of the other. I only use one in the actual project, but having two means I'm going to have more than enough room for one to be under there, plus whatever means I use to secure it, which which is usually a bit of foam pool noodle. So I'm going to put my bottle on there, slide my support down, and here's one of the major tricks. Make sure at this stage that your bottle is standing up straight. There is nothing worse than going to make a Wytch bottle and having an unintended whoop to it. It's nowhere near as cool. Granted, if you want it to look that way, please plan for it, but it can be a little annoying when you put a ton of work into a project and find, this is my beautiful project, and it's off to the side. So I'm going to make sure this bottle is straight, or as straight as I can conceivably think it is. Looks okay to me. Then you take your glue gun and start hot gluing it, or start hot gluing your bottle to the cardboard. I would love to pick this up, move it over to the camera, and show it to you more closely. But I'm relying on those two hockey pucks in there to keep this up. So use your imagination or magnify the image. I usually take just one initial ring around to lock the bottle into place. I thought we were about to have a fuzzy visitor right there. Then give it a moment or two to cool. Once the glue is hardened, you should have something that looks like this. All cycle around the leading edge. Plenty of space inside for whatever light and battery that you've got. And now you're going to want to take your glue and go around the inside lip here, provided you've got a glue gun that actually has the nozzle length to go in and get that. But you want to make sure that this bottle is as secured as possible, since there is going to be liquid in there. Okay, around the inside of the bottle, there's now a layer of hot glue. And that should keep the bottle quite well locked. The next step is, I'm going to say vaguely optional. Quite frankly, I don't like the concept of this cardboard alone for a base. What I do is I go over the entire thing in hot glue for two reasons. Number one, it's going to give me near complete waterproofing of the entire base, and if I rest this on a candy table on Halloween night and there's been a rain or some moisture, or I've got some foggers going and they've got some condensation on the candy table, I'm guaranteed that this cardboard isn't going to suddenly start to get flimsy on me halfway through the night, and this whole Wytch bottle isn't all of a sudden going to go over off the table and shatter on pavement or fall in some trick-or-treater's basket. Though that could be kind of cool because then they get a present, but you know. So I am going to go over this entire thing in hot glue and completely seal it in, at least on both the outside layer and the bottom. This is also just going to add a lot of strength to the bottom layer and completely firm it up. Oh yeah, incidentally, I'm probably also going to add a little bit more hot glue to this bond along the ridge. And another trick that is very handy is to add hot glue up here and give it a little smudge around with the edge of the hot glue gun. The more surface area that you can bond with, the stronger the connection that you're going to have and the less you're going to have to worry about it. Coating the cardboard is mostly a matter of adding some hot glue and then again taking that edge of the glue gun and moving it around. This will get you a good coating, and just coat all the exposed cardboard. It does take a fair amount of hot glue, and by that I mean like maybe a stick or half a stick like this, But to me, the cost is very, very worth it. And let's face it, this stuff ain't that expensive. Once you go through with your hot glue, take another look at it. Occasionally you can get tiny gaps in the glue where water can get back in. Just give yourself a little dot, smudge over, and make sure they're covered up. I've got one right about there, which this lighting is being kind of annoying sorting out. But try to make sure that your gaps and holes are all set and sorted. You'd want this at least as waterproof as you can from the outside. If you want to try to waterproof the inside as well, go for it. But I wouldn't use hot glue. I'd go for like a urethane or a varnish, something like that if you're really paranoid. The most key element though for the waterproofing is around the bottom of the bottle. If you use cardboard like I did, you're going to have corrugated openings all the way around. So fill them with hot glue. Use the tip of the glue gun and mush that hot glue in there to make sure that these are completely sealed and that water is not able to wick up the bottom and into your support. Let's see if we can do this close up while still keeping an eye on the camera. Gonna add hot glue over the corrugation. I'm going to take the tip of the glue gun and I'm going to mash that into the corrugation. And probably run the tip of the hot glue gun all the way around the inside. And that should block all that water from getting in there. I say all that water, but this is just incidental, just in case water. Here is your wonderfully waterproofished, we certainly hope it's waterproofed, bottom for the Wytch bottle. Good, set, and ideally highly resistant. And now, hopefully, I do not want to play hot glue is hot. I do not want to play hot glue is hot. No, good, hot glue is cool. My hand is not getting burned. Hot glue is warm, I ain't gonna lie. Hot glue is warm. Alright. My light source will be able to fit under there and illuminate whatever I choose to put in. Let's move on to the next step.